So what's happening with Boris Johnson's phone and the WhatsApp messages concerning the way the COVID pandemic was handled? It's looking a little bit like a high-tech Whitehall farce. We have the inquiry chair, Baroness Hallett. Now, she won a battle in the courts to get hold of everything in Whitehall concerning the government's handling of the pandemic. WhatsApps, notebooks, the whole lot. That was only after a battle with Whitehall, who wanted to keep control. They said they should decide what's relevant, not the judge, and the judge won. Well, so far so simple. But part of what the judge wants is a phone, or more accurately, the WhatsApp messages on the phone, which belongs to Boris Johnson, the former Prime Minister. And the WhatsApps cover the period before May 2021. And we can all remember that was when the pandemic was raging. It was a very, very difficult time, as it was all a very difficult time. But she wants to see messages that would include messages between Boris Johnson and the Chancellor, Boris Johnson and the head of the Civil Service, Simon Case, all sorts of other things, whatever is on there. And, she's being told, look, no problem, we want to help, but they can't get hold of any of it. And that's because no one can open Boris Johnson's phone. It had to be closed in May 2021 after a security breach. And now, this time later, the former Prime Minister says he can't remember the passcode. And if you keep on trying and getting it wrong, it will erase everything on the phone. So what's happening now? Well, Whitehall is providing, we're told, experts to try to crack the phone and get what's inside. No luck so far. The COVID bereaved groups are saying, look, it's just ridiculous. It is a farce. There's a phone there. There's got to be a way to get into it. And if Boris Johnson is in some way dragging his heels, maybe conveniently forgetting what's on there, well, no one can prove that, of course, because Johnson says he's happy to cooperate. So it's a deadlock. It's a dead end. There's a phone with a lot of stuff on it about the pandemic and the government's handling, especially Boris Johnson and the Chancellor's handling of it, and we can't get inside. It's like a safe, and no one's got the key. Well, there is an argument about the use of WhatsApps for government communications. Look, they're not as open and transparent as ordinary files. So when you want to get hold of this stuff later on, it can be more difficult. But WhatsApps are being used, and on top of it, by the way, there's a system whereby you can send messages and they rub themselves out after a short period of time. So no one ever gets to see what's on them. That maybe it's part of the wider argument about records being clear and kept properly. So later on, all of us can see, even if it's much later on, what's being done in our name inside government. At the moment, the big problem is getting inside Boris Johnson's phone. No one seems to be able to do that. Well, Boris Johnson says he wants to help. He's been saying he was for transparency from the beginning of this row between the government and the COVID inquiry chair. But who can prove anything differently? There are those who say Boris Johnson is a little bit chaotic in the way that he does things, and frankly, the evidence is that Boris Johnson is a bit chaotic in the way that he does things, and he was a bit chaotic when he was in government. So far, you've got a straightforward technical impasse, and until they can get inside, people can gather around and punch numbers and look for technical tricks all they like, but we won't know what those messages say. Anyway, I'm John Pienaar, and I'm going to be on air from 5 on Times Radio with Drive, and then from 7, Pienaar and Friends. We're going to be talking about any number of things, quite possibly including this.